We're on the air, episode 17. It's been a long time. Hey, everybody, I'm Jason.
And I'm Dan. How's everyone? I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, and it's definitely been quite a long time. 2 weeks, I think, because I had these certification tests I had to take.
Wow, yeah, man, it's that time of the year, dude. I've been traveling to see my dad. He's not doing well. I got to go back in a couple weeks, back to gorgeous Northeast Ohio.
Oh wow!
But
Oh
hey,
wow!
at least we have the heavyweight UFC champion now.
A new heavyweight? Is
Yeah,
that what you
yeah,
said?
yeah. The new heavyweight champion from the UFC lives in Cleveland.
Oh, the dude from Cleveland.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, man. I grew up in a predominantly Italian community. I'm not Italian. Um, but there's a non-trivial amount of Eastern Europeans, man. It's interesting to watch. I mean, Croatians, Bulgarians, Ukrainians,
Mother freaking Ukrainians.
a lot of Vitches. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what's been up, man?
Yeah. So I'll give a quick update on the transcranial direct current stimulation. I think it's worked out really well. So, as I said, I had a couple certification tests I had to pass, and I only studied for them. So I took. So we had CASP, which is CompTIA's equivalent to the CISSP. So they call it CompTIA Advanced Security Practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
Studied for that thing for 2 weeks. Passed it. They don't give a score; it's pass fail. Which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
So then I took because here in the DC area, Security University is pretty popular because of her ties to the Department of Defense. So she's got some things that are equivalent to EC Council and SANS. So one of theirs is called the Qualified Ethical Hacker, and you also have to do labs. So you have to do the labs and a written. So not written, again, I only studied for that for less than a week, like 3 days. So, and all the time, every time before I'm studying, I've been doing the the transcranial direct current stimulation device in the mornings for like 15 minutes, and then, bam, scored a 97% on the written. And then she has an advanced one that she calls security analyst and penetration testing license, which I did last week, and got a 94% on that. So I mean, less than a week each time, new stuff, and it sticks. So I've
Yeah,
been
and I think
quite pleased with it.
that's the big thing to point out. I mean, not only does it help with cramming because of the way the neuroactivity is already pre-potentiated, but from my understanding and my experience with it, that was going to be my first question to you, man. Is do you feel like you're retaining more information longer? Because that should be a big benefit of it.
Absolutely, and like things that you wouldn't necessarily know. So, on these tests, you had to know specific switches to like Nmap and dig, and how to do, what the switches for NS lookup to do a zone transfer. Things that you would kind of normally just be like, I'll just Google that. I know what I need to do. Just what tool is it going to be, and was able to like immediately pick them out and not have to worry about it, because it's not like you have open internet or open books or anything like that. You had to know what the switch was. Given the following scenario, you're trying to do X, which Nmap command is it going to be? Which, by the way, I think is quite silly that someone would want to know on a test, why you would use one switch over another. But I guess they have to make up something for certification tests.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have the same problem in academics, man. It's how do you standardize assessment of performance, and at some point it has to be the way I see it as the constructor of that assessment tool, which is unfortunate because obviously there's always exceptions. I mean, I think we probably regularly think that we're exceptions, and we probably are. Right. So the way that I run like NetStat is the way that I run it because that's the way I want to see the information, and that's what makes it meaningful to me. But it's probably not a standard approach for everybody. It's not better or worse. It's just different. For a long time, I've talked to people about how to use machine learning for assessment. I think that's something we'll see more and more in the future of something that allows more creativity in how you approach problem solving.
Right.
Which is actually an interesting thing, man. I mean, it's the same kind of thing where, well, I mean, the Peter principle, the idea that people get promoted to their incompetence, it's actually not their fault, man. You and I have experienced a lot of this, I think, especially recently. What happens is people get promoted based on past performance rather than future capacity. And I think if we stand back and look at what are you capable of, not what did you do, and you're able to assess that in a meaningful way through machine learning, most likely, then I think that's a much better way to approach assessing performance.
Mm-hmm. I tend to agree. So, yeah, so I did these things. You know, do I feel any better? No, not too much. But I would say that it's been a while that since I've done any type of certification or done any real true, we'll say pen testing stuff like that, because it's I've moved into a leadership role about 6-7 years ago. So I haven't really done anything of this nature. So it did feel kind of good to go. All right, here's a quick rundown on the latest tool set, and boom, go and do these things. So of course, because in the class I had some former students and some employees of mine. So it was always good to kind of say, hey, look, the old man can still run circles around you, because it doesn't matter what tools when you have experience and you can figure out which tool. Not everything needs to be a hammer.
Well, wouldn't you agree, man? Fundamentally, technology hasn't shifted. I mean, the certain parts of it have. I don't mean that universally, but the conceptual underpinnings of it remain. I mean, we're still on a fucking IP. IP's IP,
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can package it and send it over a different transport any way you want, but IP's IP.
Right.
And I don't mean, by the way, for our technical listeners, I don't mean a transport layer, fuckers. Right? I mean that conceptually. You can put it over whatever physical media you want, but IP's IP.
Yeah, and I still have the advantage in that I can use two computers at once. So, well, yeah. So I know because I can put the keyboard close enough to where I can use basically two monitors and keyboards going back and forth of running different commands. So I've got the one doing the exploration while I can be setting up, the scripts to be going to the next phase of the process.
Why the fuck wouldn't you just open two terminals, man?
If I had a bigger screen to work, because remember they had the stuff on these small ass laptops. So
fucking old man is right, dude. What the?
Yeah. Well, they're small, and so you got to remember they also make you do everything through virtual machines, their virtual machines. So on the last day for yesterday for this pen test one, I said, screw it, I'm bringing my MacBook in with my already prepared things ready to go. And so literally once I knew our target range of IP addresses, I just plugged it in and my scripts just grabbed everything and then just started rolling. Because I'm like, you got 3 hours to grab all your data and then 2 weeks to write a report. So this one's very similar to the offensive security OCSP.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like a couple weeks to write your report on everything you find.
Right.
Which was cool. But yeah, how about you, man? What's been going on with you?
Hey, listen, man. Mechanical Turk kicks fucking ass. Holy shit. Mechanical Turk is an Amazon platform for research.
Uh-huh.
But it's not exclusively research, but I think it's predominantly used, at least in my little world, for research. So as a pilot of its capability, man, I've been sitting on this instrument for quite some time for a study. And I knew a lot of participants. And as you know, and as some of our listeners may know, particularly involving humans, it's incredibly difficult to get good participants. And I don't mean that like in a controlled way. Good. What I mean is a good number. It's not hard to get 10, 20, 50, but when you start getting 5, 6, 700, 1,000, it starts getting problematic. Because it's like marketing material, right? You're going to get like maybe 34% return. So Turk's supposed to address this because it's kind of like a crowdsourced platform where a worker can enroll, and you have to meet certain qualifications. And the requester, who I was in this case, can set those qualifications for a project. And they call them hits. I don't even remember, the human intelligence task or some shit like that, whatever, man. And you set the qualifications, man, and these fucking people are working. I mean, I paid a quarter a response, which is cheap as fuck, right? I mean, I could have paid it. You can pay whatever you want, but I'm like a quarter, dude. I mean, that's nothing to me, even over a high multiple. So I told myself I'll let this shit run for 2 weeks. I'm used to letting my instruments run for 4-6 weeks, right? And maybe getting 100 people. Dude, in less than 12 hours, I had 600 fucking responses.
Wow. Hey, hold on. What area of the world are they all in?
I was just going to say, and it's international. And so I was kind of curious, especially given our experience with bug bounty programs over the last couple of years. I was kind of curious to see how the demographics worked out. And, man, it's nice, dude. By the way, you can set all this, too. I mean, you can set your population pretty specifically, even up to education level. I didn't qualify. I qualified a couple things, but nothing with that kind of demographic information. But, man, dude, it was almost 50-50 male-female. It was pretty spread around industry of employment. And it was geographically distributed. It wasn't centered like in Bangalore.
Really?
Yeah, man. It was pretty distributed. I haven't looked down at the specific percentages of geographic location, but it's not all Indians, man. It's not.
That's good, because our experience with bug bounty programs is these people dial for dollars. They throw up their, open VOS scanner and just start scanning everything. Be like, give me $100.
Yeah, well, I mean, what the fuck else were all those tech people supposed to do when the call centers moved to the Philippines and Brazil? I mean, they still have the call center, right? The building's there. The people didn't go away. They didn't move to the Philippines.
Dude, I gotta tell you, I'm actually seriously considering going to like BugCrowd and HackerOne and all that and seeing everything there and just start dialing for dollars myself. I mean, why not?
Fuck it, dude.
I can set that stuff up to go.
Low payout.
Yeah, I can set that. I can set all those scanners up to just run 24/7 and just script it out.
Yeah, well, it's completely automated, man. The only thing that's not automated is your interaction with the platform itself.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now you're talking about cheap manual labor, and I don't think India, from what I saw with BugCrowd, HackerOne not so much, but definitely with BugCrowd. It's not I'm not shitting on that platform. It's not their. They're indifferent. They're just a platform. But that's why labor got outsourced to India in the first place, because it's cheap. Well, if I can pay some.
I outsourced some of my labor to Arizona because it was also cheap.
Arizona, India, I've been to both, man. It ain't that fucking different.
The loyalty's about the same from what I've been able to figure out.
Well, in Arizona, the coyotes are as small as rats, so
yeah,
they fucking look like rats too. But look, man, I mean, come on, and I was surprised, man. For a quarter, it seemed like a quarter meant a lot to them. I have a sense that some people have written some bots, which I'm interested in doing like a side study on and kind of looking at that. Which is kind of weird because now, I mean, I have 600 responses, man. I mean, that's a lot for this study. It's a lot. It's way more. It's 5-6 times the amount that I wanted. I was shocked. The platform has some hiccups, but whatever, man. I'm not going to promote Amazon. They're not paying me. But as a researcher, man, it's a cool fucking tool. It's really slick. It's not intuitive. I quickly found out that the support for it's outsourced to you. I mean, it makes sense, right? They're not Amazon. Right. Just using their own AWS platform to host that shit. But anyway, man. So I worked on that. That's pretty badass. I've been wondering about Tech IQ, man. We kind of left off the last time talking about literacy and technology and science.
Right.
Man, I mean, you've done these certifications. Tech IQ, dude. So I've been helping my parents, right? And I finally said, you know what, just give me access to the medical records. Because I can read them. I know what things are. I have a non-trivial background in medicine from undergrad and starting pre-med. And, I mean, I'm not a doctor in that aspect. But, I can have a cogent conversation with a physician and make an informed decision. That's kind of my role right now. So I got access to these medical records. But, man, I had to walk my mom through how to forward emails out of Gmail.
Wow.
So I could have the attack. And, I've used a lot of different email systems, and I think Gmail's pretty intuitive. pretty intuitive, but I'm biased, right? I mean, I remember using Microsoft Mail.
All right.
You know what I mean? And that's one side of it. So this is an interesting thing, and I'm curious in your feedback on this. So you have that end of the spectrum, which is our parents' generation and the generations older than them, that clearly did not grow up with technology. I mean, in no way, shape, or form. If my mom got in my BMW, she'd be fucked. There's no way she could turn it on. She couldn't. I don't think I've ever seen a car that's keyless like that. It's just so foreign to her. If I asked my parents how to operate the GPS in that car, there's no way they would get it. As intuitive as that iDrive system is, right?
Right.
And then we have our kids, which is interesting because I think they're the same but different. They're the same in the sense that they don't know how to use shit, but they're different in the sense that I think they take for granted that it just works because they've never known a life without it, where it didn't work. Or you had to, like, I don't know how you started with Linux. I started with Linux from scratch and then progressed into Gentoo. So at that point, you kind of had to understand, and that was the point of it, actually. You had to understand how an operating system worked from ring 0 all the way up. And you had to build it progressively and build those parts. And, I mean, from speaking for myself, that's why I did it, so I could understand how it worked. And that engenders a certain, I think, patience, because shit never worked back. I mean, do you remember having to fuck around with IRQs?
Oh my gosh! Especially with Microsoft.
Yeah.
So with my background is, I started off with primarily Microsoft DOS, but I didn't touch Linux until after I was already doing networking. And the real reason was because Cisco bought this intrusion detection system called NetRanger.
Yep.
And so that's when I really started messing around with Linux, was because of that NetRanger product.
Yeah.
So prior to that, I mean, it was Microsoft and Cisco. I learned Perl because of this program called MRTG, the multi-routing, was it traffic graph or something like that?
Traffic grapher, yeah. Fuck yeah, I use that in Cactus.
Yeah, so that's why I did that, because I needed to know when, what the bandwidth and throughput and the bits per second going through all of our pipes were.
So you predominantly use a Mac now, right?
Yeah, pretty much Mac. Well, I do that, but I've been doing a lot more with Arch, just trying to start learning that, because I mean the Linux that I used quite a bit was Mandrake, which is now
Mandriva.
Mandriva, whatever, something like that.
Yeah.
So that was the one that I stuck with quite a bit. But they all just started becoming more and more bloated. And then after I talked to the Sultan, I was like, man, these Linux things just were irritating me because they were all just so bloated again. I'm like, I might as well just use fucking Microsoft if I'm going to have all these bloated systems. And he kind of turned me on to Arch probably about a year ago, and so I've just been doing more and more with it and trying to learn it, get it to work the way I want it to work, which is. It hasn't been bad. It's been pretty simple. There's certain little nuances here and there. Trying to get it to work on a Mac Mini has been a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's some funky shit with the Mac bootloader and stuff.
Yeah.
I went through that too. But here's my question, man. So you and I came from a background where you kind of had to roll it yourself, more or less, right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So having that background, do you feel like it makes you appreciate, for instance, our MacBooks way more because you can just turn it on and the shit works and you're instantly productive? That's how I feel. I'll say that. I think back to those days where it took multiple days to compile a system, and then you forgot one switch in the kernel and it doesn't work, and you got to start all over again.
Oh yeah, and especially like absolutely, because what I remember having to do, like building servers and using Ghost constantly. Before I would make changes, I would ghost it so that way I could get right back. Where today in virtualization, it's a click of a button and say roll back.
Well, like I told you about a year ago, less than a year ago, I did that 30-day experiment where I only used free open source software.
Yeah.
Dude, and for the most part, it was okay. For the most part, but there was a few things in particular that I needed because of life choices I had made, especially work choices. And it just, dude, it was a nightmare. It made me want to stab myself or somebody else. And so, it just makes me think that there's that, I see that tech IQ dichotomy where it's the same but different, and it kind of concerns me. Not that I think everybody should be a deep technical level engineer, But when we were talking about literacy, this is kind of tying for me. Is this just a general lack of understanding at a very, very basic level? I think it was a couple weeks ago, Alyssa and I had exchanged some tweets about literacy in software specifically. Look, I don't expect everybody to code, but I don't think it's unfair to expect people to understand how software works. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're going to have to, if they don't today, they're going to have to start, because everything is becoming more and more technology aware. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you're a mechanic, all these new cars, regardless of how cheap it is computerized. And it's been that way, for the most part, there's been some type of computer in the car since like the 1990s. So it's becoming more and more dependent upon them. Dryers, washing machines, refrigerators, they're all computerized. The first thing that these techs do when they come in, they basically pop the hood, plug in their computer to start doing diagnostics to see if there's anything there that leads them to believe what might be the problem.
Right.
So no matter what industry you're in, if they're not technology aware, I think they're going to suffer, because I can see it now. Even if you're in landscaping, they're starting to use technology to determine, very quickly the grade of the land, so that way they can determine whether or not, the next rainfall, as to whether or not you're going to properly drain.
Right.
To building your flower beds, to all that. I mean, I see them all the time. So you may have people that are manually doing the labor, but how to become more efficient, technology is certainly assisting with that.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I think it's worth still talking about. I mean, look at how well snake oil sells. And it sells not because it's easy to dismiss people as dumb. It's not a case of being dumb. It's a case of being literate, right? And that's what I mean when I say tech IQ. It's not some people are dumb. No. I don't mean that. What I mean is that they're just not aware. Well, yeah, that's an interesting side conversation about is our species really getting dumber? I don't know. We can talk about that in a second if you want. But tech IQ, man, tech literacy, understanding conceptually how things work because of the rules they have to follow to be those things. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
actually, our technology's gotten so fucking good already that you don't need that to operate it. That's what's interesting to me, man.
So, you didn't learn a lot of technology from your parents, but I did. And this is what makes it kind of interesting to me. I learned a lot about the beginning basics of computers through my dad. My dad was a computer programmer as well as a tax accountant. So he made tax software. And so I would go to with him during while they were creating the tax software on the weekends, and if we had different breaks, because he would be coding. And so what's funny to me is that how often he has to call me for help with something. And so this past Christmas, he got his first smartphone, and he couldn't really use it. So thank goodness I got him an Android phone, because and the reason for this is I haven't seen this basically capability necessarily with Apple, but he can just type, he can just literally say, we changed the words instead of being okay Google to something else, but he could look that up and just say, call whoever, because he has problems with his eyes. And so when he would go to touch the screen, he would never touch it in the right spot. So he can tell it to read him the text message. And I'm sure probably, Apple has at least something equivalent with Siri to be able to do that. But if this was a couple of years ago, before that voice recognition became better on these smartphones, I don't think he'd have been able to use one.
Yeah, do you remember how shitty Dragon Naturally Speaking used to be?
Oh my gosh.
And how horribly expensive it was for being shitty?
Dude, it was like $200. Now you can get it for. Now I think you can get it for like $79.99. But it was horrible.
There are multiple legitimate open source Siri implementations.
Really?
And they're ahead of Apple. I mean, Apple hasn't produced Siri for the desktop yet. That's coming in 2017.
Mm.
Microsoft has Cortana. But yeah, man. I mean, think about that. Anyway, so yeah, so it doesn't take a tech IQ or tech literacy to operate those things. You think you're technologically savvy, but you're just using a tool. I mean, if I pick up a wrench and loosen a screw, does that make me a fucking mechanic?
Maybe.
I don't know. I know enough to use the wrench,
Yeah.
right? I have to understand the basic principles of leverage.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I, it's very interesting to me because I'm just wondering. I don't know. I think there are certain people that no matter how old they wind up growing, if you still have that innate being inside you that has curiosity about how things work, I don't think you would ever be, technology illiterate. No matter how long you live to be, because if you always have it, you're always going to want to try and figure it out. It may take you longer to learn the latest tool, but I think you would still, you could basically be in any generation from here moving forward.
But what do we do with all the other people, man? Because we're talking about an exception, right? A minority, for sure. I would say. I'm
I
naturally
think
curious.
I would I would prefer it for the people that can't do it, that we allow nature's law to take effect. But that's just me. I
Well,
mean,
that's an interesting point though, and it ties back to the whole idiocracy are we getting dumber thing. Here's my
mhm.
argument, man. Here's my argument. Check this out. So the position most people take in this case is that we've artificially extended life such that all the stupid people are breeding, right?
Mhm.
I think that's a fair paraphrase. Here's my counter argument. What we've done to maybe unnaturally, from that position, extend life is in fact, in my viewpoint, natural because we did it and we're natural beings. Why wouldn't we want to extend our own lives?
I don't I don't see any issue with that statement. I
You
think
just see an
that
issue as it applies to the quote unquote stupid people.
right. The issue that I have is, for example, I don't think someone at McDonald's or any fast food restaurant needs to be making $20 an hour or $15 an hour. It was never meant to earn enough wages to support a family. That was your bare minimum entry level job, things for high school kids and college students, not for a family of four. Um,
Well,
and
let's agree that job is quickly going away, completely.
I believe so. I believe it will be. In the aspect of a welfare state is not one that I'm too pleased with. Looking at being in.
Wait,
Um,
so are you on board with a guaranteed minimal income?
no, I'm not. Um,
I am.
I, yeah, I don't believe that having a guaranteed minimum wage is something that's good for society. Because everything else is just going to trickle down. If I'm an employer, I'm just going to raise the prices. We already start seeing that they'll find other ways to make up the difference because the people with money they're not looking to necessarily give it away. But I look back to how when the pilgrims came over and they tried this whole aspect of everyone's going to get an equal amount of thing, and they quickly said no way, because the people who couldn't do were still getting all of the benefits of the people that could.
Sure.
And uh, I think that's what happens if all of a sudden we start allowing everyone to get an equal share, because I know the harder I work right now, um, I don't get the additional benefits from it, and it's something that's quite irritating. I have less benefits for the more money that I make, and I'm not at a point in terms of the compensation that I make to where I make too much for certain things, but not enough to be able to not basically live paycheck to paycheck.
All right, but here's a question for you, because I think both of us tend to lean more libertarian than anything else, right? I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that would mean that we're both somewhat fiscally conservative.
Mm-hmm.
You agree? And
Mm-hmm.
socially liberal.
Right.
All right.
I mean, I tolerate you, so.
Yeah, I know. Likewise. So, but what if to society, to our species, let's break it out to species level, right? What if it's far cheaper to guarantee minimum income than it is to continue with the system we have, which is at least to some people in some statistics vastly more expensive. Because right, you and I don't make minimum wage. You and I make far more. Far more.
Correct. Correct.
We don't get to keep all of our money, and I agree with you. We're taxed quite heavily. I know I was last year. Fucking.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot, and not enough to where I'm taxed. Basically we're at a tax bracket where I can get zero benefits basically for anything.
Yeah. So wait. So so that money's being taken. So is it a question of the money being taken is too much, or that the money that's being taken isn't being allocated correctly? Because I don't see
I think it's
money,
both.
well, maybe, because here's what I don't see. I don't see people getting rich off social systems. What I see is rich people getting richer off social systems, and some people in the social system being able to, I don't know, fucking eat twice a day instead of 3 times.
Right. Well, I look at it as I didn't, I had to scratch, claw, scrape to get to where I'm at, and to be given something for basically just being born in a particular country does not necessarily entitle you to a certain amount of money. What is society getting back for you to sit back and just get a paycheck for doing nothing? What is it that you're going to do for that money? What is society bestowing upon you to say you're going to do X? Dig ditches? I think a lot of the problem is that people, they believe that they're entitled because they were born, and that they're not willing to do something for that money. And that's probably a lot of the reasons why we really do kind of turn our eye to people that are not here legally, because we've imported our lower class.
Particularly in California, that's absolutely true.
Yeah,
I'm looking a statistic up real quick.
Yeah.
Because here's what I'm curious about, man. We're not far off from minimum wage being completely automated by machines.
Oh yeah,
So,
I absolutely believe that.
According to the statistic I'm looking at, which comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which I think is a reputable source for this.
I mean, it is the government, so.
Well, I mean, it's not Breitbart or fucking Tumblr.
Yeah.
Or Reddit. It looks like 15.9 million people in the U.S. as of, when is this? Is this 2014 or 2015? This has to be 2014.
It's currently 2016. I don't know what stat you're looking at.
That's what I was referring to. Why is that? Yeah, this is from 2014, I think.
Okay.
Let's round up and call it 16 million out of what, 330 million in the country make minimum wage. All right, so what are we going to do with 16 million people in 5 years when there's no more minimum wage jobs anywhere in the U.S.?
Send them to Canada?
I mean, they sure as fuck have a lot of land. It's just not really hospitable. I
mean, while people believe it's Mexicans that are coming over, it's really not. So there's really no place to send. You can't send them to Mexico. So you'd have to send them to like El Salvador, Ecuador, because those are the ones that are coming up. Maybe coming through.
Yeah, it depends what part of the country you live in, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I think about, man. What do you do with those people? I don't want them on welfare, but I don't mind giving everybody a minimum guaranteed income either. I don't think that's welfare.
Again, it all comes back on what are you doing for your part in bettering society for that whatever income it is that you're given. There's the exception where people truly are disabled, that they truly have a condition that prevents them from being able to earn a living. But to say you're getting this stipend to sit at home and play video games wherever it is that you're at or whatever it is that you're doing, I don't think it's right. You need to be doing something for that. I don't care if it's cleaning up parks. I don't care if it's picking up trash off the side of the road for 8 hours, 40 hours a week. But you need to do something for that money.
So this is interesting though, Matt, because in your examples you turned to blue collar work, and we're talking about a future society, which I don't think is very far off, where there is no more blue collar labor required. It's all automated.
Well, in this case, they could be the ones that go work for Geek Squad, because that's, to me, they're doing low level work there. Anyone can, go ahead and format a hard drive at that point, or get off the fake antivirus that's on there.
Because I'll tell you the society I don't want to live in. I don't want to live in a society where 16 million people are homeless. On top of the millions, I didn't even look that statistic up. I don't right? How many millions of people are already homeless? And what drag effect as an anchor does that have on our society? That's what I want to avoid. And if that means we can reduce our hundreds of billions of dollars in military spending to achieve that, I think I'm more than comfortable with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. I mean, I know that I do believe that we could certainly probably take off a couple $100 million worth of our military spending, because it wouldn't even blink an eye off that. Which is kind of funny that if you reduced the military spending by the exact amount of basically millions of people, I think if we reduced it by $330 million, I think. Giving everyone, $1 million would be like, all right, that's what you got. Money runs out. You're done. See ya.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, I don't know how to say it. I'm just thinking about my position. I don't want another 16 million homeless people with nothing to do. And I don't think it's a case of, look, man, let's agree. Are there going to be exceptions given that there's 330 million people in this country, whereby those exceptions take the guaranteed minimum income and just sit on their fucking hands all day? Sure. But I think it's a insignificant percentage. An insignificant percentage.
I think there's always things that they could do, and then I don't know what all of those things would be. Even if the aspect of there's automated systems that are going to be picking up trash, well, something may have to be delivering those systems to pick up the trash.
Sure.
Something needs, they can be checking to make sure the trash is properly incinerated. There's a lot of different things they could do to be building up to that point. I don't know what the minimum wage jobs would kind of look like, 20 years from now. But today they could be the ones picking up trash. They could be the ones doing a lot of different things that other people just aren't doing for that guaranteed, minimum wage, basically.
Well,
there could be something.
I mean, there's not going to be a need to pick up trash in 20 years. It's just not going to exist. It's not going to exist. So
true. But I don't know what the equivalent will be to that in 20 years from now.
There won't be. There'll have
to be something.
No. Why? Why?
No, what I mean is that what is currently there today in terms of that minimum wage job happens to be picking up trash.
Yes.
In 20 years, what is the equivalent of that person that would be picking up trash today? Is that the person that's going to be working on the machine that picks up trash? I don't know. I don't know what the equivalent of the low-level job will be in society in 20 years from now.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think there will be one.
There will always be a low-level job.
Why?
Well, not everything can be high-level.
Why?
I mean, what do you mean, why can't everything be high-level?
Yeah, why can't it?
Why can't it? Because you always have, not everything can occupy the number one position.
Why? I don't understand that. You're being very binary about it. Why?
Huh? Because not everything, it's not possible. There's always something that will be the best for a particular task.
I don't know, man. It's just strange to me to think in 20 years we still have this binary system where, no, it's not a binary system. It's a classes system.
And if you take a look at any technology, you have Sony, LG, you name the technology company. Someone will rate one of those TVs being number one. You're not going to have two TVs being number one.
But that's a value judgment. What if there was what if there was just TVs?
Well, again, that would equate to, based on our current system, that we would allow a monopoly to only be just TVs.
Okay.
And based on the way people are today, I don't think that they fight right now. As soon as Google comes out with something that appears to make them be even more of a monopoly and to try to break them up because they want competition.
Well, and listen, man, I'm not saying shit doesn't have to change. In fact, I would argue that an enormous amount has to change, not only in business and government, but in ourselves as individual members of a species. We have quite a ways to go. But I don't know that I want to. I don't know that I'm in a position to say that that's what I want in 20 years for there to be some equivalent to picking up trash. And in fact, I would hope in 2 decades, given where we're at right now, on this trajectory, right, of exponential growth, that's what I mean, man. What if there was just TVs?
Don't think that's going to happen in 20 years from now. That it'll be just TVs.
You and I will still be alive in 20 years, yeah?
I know, and I don't think there'll be a thing of just TVs because of the laws of the land.
Would you like to place a friendly wager on these?
Yeah, sure. We can place a friendly wager on 20 years if it'll just be TVs. I think there'll always be a brand.
Yeah, it might be all the same fucking brand.
Well, based on the current laws and how everyone fights for any of that, I don't believe that they will allow there to be just one company that produces TVs.
What do you think is good for us, though? That's my question.
I think competition is always good. If you have no competition, then you have no reason to try to become better. Even if that competition is yourself, you are still competing with a past version of yourself.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't disagree, especially with the man versus himself thing, right? But I don't know if deciding between Sony and fucking LG is really competition.
No,
I mean,
but
look,
the companies are competing. The companies are competing.
Is deciding between Hillary and Trump competition?
For them, yes, they're having to produce content for us to make a choice between the two.
But what if I told you it wasn't a choice?
Well, I'm hoping that I don't have to make a choice really for either.
Gary Johnson, brother.
Yeah, true. Anyway,
you don't want to talk about that.
No, not really. How much time do we got?
Fuck the time, man.
What time is it?
Dude, we've been going for like 45 minutes. It's 10:44 my time.
All right, cool. Because I wanted to, because we talked about how we were going to talk about which was the better movie, Superman versus Batman, and Captain America: Civil War.
All right, man. You want to start?
No, I'll defer to you.
All right. I think Batman versus Superman is a superior film because I think and this is why I compare them, because they have similar underlying concepts, right? Which is this external pressure to perform a certain way, or according to certain expectations, whilst there's this subtextual dilemma or grief, right? And in fact, both of those revolve around parents being dead in both films. And I don't think either film's bad. I just think, from my viewings, that Batman versus Superman is a more serious film. It's certainly darker, which is my preference. And I think it does a much better job of using that underlying contextual dilemma, if you will, to move the story forward. I give him a pass for the Aquaman bullshit because it's just horrendous. Why do you even need to do that? But Wonder Woman, I mean, I thought her showing up the way she did was fine. I think the struggle between Superman and Batman, given their backgrounds, is very indicative of where we're at as a society right now. Whereas Civil War, to me, again, wasn't a bad film, but it just felt so ham-fisted and contrived. The conflict between Tony Stark and Captain America, it's just like, fuck, man. And for the record, I saw Batman first.
So I saw Superman and Batman first as well. And and I will first admit my biases. I think that Ben Affleck is a horrible actor, and every character he touches destroys. That would include Daredevil, Batman, and Elektra. He destroyed all three of them because he married Jennifer Gardner. And I think Captain America is probably the second worst superhero out there, first being Aquaman. So I do not. I don't think that they are good superheroes. But I really did enjoy both movies, and I happened to in this case with the Captain America movie, the dilemma that he was facing, which I think is a one that not many people have the courage to do, which is to follow your own conscience, regardless of what everyone around you was saying. These were his friends, these were his teammates, these were his peers, these were the people that he bled with, went to war with, all these different things. And everyone was telling him, you can't do this. And he just said that I have to do what I feel is right. And regardless of the consequences, still went ahead to do what he felt was right. And I think for that reason, I felt it was a much at least it had something to me that touched me more, because I think a lot of people that have an idea of something, whether it's to start a business, to follow a path, to quit a job, to stay there, there's always going to be people that want to shit on you, that tell you you can't do this, that you're not going to be able to do it, that you're going to fail, and to have that courage to say, I'm going to keep doing it, and hell with it. If I fail, I fail. I'll pick myself back up.
It's interesting, man, because that's exactly why I didn't like that film. Because I think it tells us a story whereby we need to be superheroes to be able to make that decision. Whereas for me, almost in a very similar way, but to the opposite end of the spectrum, Batman versus Superman was about how even as superheroes, we can have common ties, the mothers, right? That makes us more human, not right. So it's the same thing, but in the opposite direction.
I wasn't looking at it as being, in this case, Captain America being a superhero as to why he had to do those things, but that when we feel something is so right, whether it is anything, I mean, it could be that your boss is looking for you to do something that you just feel is absolutely wrong. The people that look away and just keep doing it, I think that's part of what's probably wrong with our society, that they feel this is completely morally wrong, but still choose to do it, is a problem. As well as the other parts are, you feel something is so morally right that you have to do this, even though everyone else is telling you you're wrong. I don't think you have to be a superhero for that. It could very well be, again, someone's telling you your idea is dumb, and it's to start a company for whatever reason. How many times do you have to be right in order to hit it? Just once. You just got to be right one time, and
and
you could change the world.
That's what I mean. I totally agree with you that you don't need to be a hero. And to clarify, what I didn't like is that, to me, Captain America: Civil War perpetuated unnecessary hero worship for just making a decision.
That I agree with.
Yeah, I'm not big on especially the uniformed hero worship. I think it paints a fantasy for people that actually increases the general apathy we already have in society.
Right. And the Superman versus Batman movie, I think for me, I still enjoyed it. Superman never wanted to ever hurt anyone for anything. And I believe his guilt, drove him, to do a lot of the things. He even tried, even though, because Batman is a little bit warped in this particular movie, having had all these things done to him, a lot of psychological problems. Superman tried to talk him out. He's like, look, I want to talk. Let's talk. Let's talk about this. I didn't mean to do this. I don't want to hurt you. Let's talk. Well, in this case, Batman there was no talking to him. It wasn't until the end of the movie when all of a sudden Batman was like, what have I done?
Right. And that's what I liked about it, man. Just as a viewer, as a reader of the comics.
Yeah.
Taking superheroes very much like what Alan Moore did with Watchmen,
Mm-hmm.
taking that superhero mythos and making those characters human,
Mm-hmm.
rather than taking humans and making them superhuman. I just find a more compelling story. And I like dark
Yep.
films. And Batman's a dark motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Well, but I also liked how they did stay true to the character of Spider-Man in the Captain America Civil War movie. He
Oh, that was
talks
a fabulous
trash.
Spider-Man. That was a
Yeah.
fabulous Spider-Man.
He talks trash the entire time because that brings out that aspect of for Peter that he wanted to be on the football team and was never able to be. And then when he gets the powers, he says, "Well, I wasn't able to before, so I shouldn't do it now."
For me, man, the two best characters in that film were Ant-Man and Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of Ant-Man, but
I'm not either.
Spider-Man was definitely there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not either. I just really like the way that character was portrayed and acted in that movie. What's that dude's name? Paul Rudd?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
actor?
Paul Rudd. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he does a fabulous job, man. I really haven't seen the Ant-Man movie except in clips on a fucking airplane when I was half paying attention.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, I don't, but I think he does something good with that character.
yeah. And I think the third worst superhero, by the way, is Iron Man. By the way, just so that was seeing
Well,
that movie, I was like, I don't like Iron Man, and I don't like Captain America or Aquaman.
well, Iron Man is the rich man's ripoff of Batman.
I know,
Batman's
but
way
I just
better.
don't. But the difference, to me, with Tony Stark was that he had everything all the time, and his ego is what drives him to everything. To
Why isn't that
be,
your favorite character?
um, uh, so because with that, he made the choice. Again, all of his choices were about him, not about doing better for society. The
Right.
reason why he signed the Accords was in hopes of getting Pepper back, right?
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with what he felt was right or wrong. It was what is going to best benefit me first, and then I'll choose it. He wanted to be Iron Man because, well, in the beginning, it was to build up the Stark Enterprises company again for the military to buy more stuff from him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Well,
that's
to
one of the reasons why I
differentiate
don't
himself
like
from
him.
his father, who was, a genius, as you can tell from the way these stories are woven together. But yeah, man, that's how I feel. I think they're both good films. Certainly, they're both way better than this piece of shit apocalypse story they put out. Oh my god, dude. Fuck.
Are you talking about the X-Men one? I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet. Haven't seen that one yet. I mean, for me, my two favorite superhero characters were Batman and Wolverine. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I could take a Wolverine versus Punisher.
yeah,
Hey, do you like horror movies, real quick?
yeah.
Holy shit, dude! I watched It Follows, and I watched it in the middle of the day while I was grading some papers.
That's a good one.
And I was here by myself, man, and that fucking dog was walking around making noise, dude.
Oh, that's great.
I locked the door to my office, man. This door behind me. I locked it, man. I couldn't take it. And dude, it was just, it's 11 o'clock here, so it was around this time I started watching it. And it was this bright out, maybe a little brighter because it was warmer.
Right.
Dude, I almost had to tap out. I'm like, this is a little too much for me, man. They did a really good job.
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent movie. Really did. So yeah. So let's see. We recap. We talked politics. We talked about why Ben Affleck ruined 3 superheroes.
That's your position, not mine.
It is my position. I hope they never give him another superhero to wreck. Well, because I think there's much better people that they could have chosen other than Ben Affleck to do Batman. I think the only person Ben Affleck's been faithful to is Matt Damon.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
So what are we going to talk about next? What are we talking about this next week coming up?
I don't know,
What do
man.
we got?
I gotta look it up. We did Tech IQ today. We've touched on critical thinking, literacy. We should probably talk about something specific, man. Dude, this flat earther shit's really bothering me, man. Maybe
What?
I saw.
What?
Wait, so SpaceX for the 3rd time landed that drone on the platform in the ocean, right?
All right.
Okay, 3 times in a row now. Fucking perfect. And I saw a video this morning, man, while I was having my first cup of coffee.
Uh-huh.
Listen, man, maybe this dude's being a goof, but I don't think he is. I think he's being serious when he said this shit. That it's all faked. I mean, I don't even know how to paraphrase it. It's such insanity. That the Earth is flat. These people believe that the sun's like a flashlight, man. And here's the Earth, and the sun just goes around like this. Listen, man, dude, YouTube is full of these videos, and at first I thought it was a goof, you know what I mean? But I've watched enough of them now, and I've read enough YouTube comments that people actually believe the Earth is flat. So, like, I told that to Marsha this morning because it's been bothering me for a number of months. What bothers me specifically is people believe it. Like, how are you that scientifically illiterate that you think that's true? Or is it even possible, right? And these people have explanations for everything. Marsha says, well, if the Earth were flat, why wouldn't we just fall off the edge? They have an answer. An ice wall. Like the fucking Game of Thrones.
Well, how come no one's seen the ice wall?
The man. They have an answer for that too. The government monitors it, and people that approach it or ever get near to it disappear.
Then how do they know it exists? I see. Maybe the person who started that is literally just laughing like we are right now, going, "Look at these idiots! I can say anything on the internet, and people won't believe it."
This is probably going to do something. I don't know if it's good or not, but like Hubbard in Scientology.
Yeah.
I watched that documentary this week too, Going Clear. Holy shit. Anyway, man. So no, what it makes me want to do, and you and I both know Sandy Antunes, big and microsat.
Yeah.
It makes me want to build a little sat with a disposable. I mean, I have a couple GoPros. I don't want to lose one, but I'm willing to do it for the sake of this, and just from start to finish, no editing, no interruption in footage, just send that fucker out. Because you can send them high enough clearly to see the curvature of the Earth. Because the argument from these people is that all that CGI animation, it's all fake, all of it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do agree that we never actually landed on the moon.
Shut the fuck up. Kubrick was a good filmmaker. I don't think he was that good.
Yeah, I mean, there's no rovers on Mars.
We need Death Star on for this one. Because like, when he said, "And what have they done for us?" Like, what did Lewis and Clark do for us? They fucked some Indians. But did they do anything more than that? Yes, of course they did. That's the pioneer spirit, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's think about it, man. Maybe we'll talk about that and some more tech. Maybe it's time to talk about some mobile shit, dude. Some IoT.
Yeah, we could do that. We could talk about some mobile stuff. I gotta tell you, I mean, we could talk about John McAfee's new app that he's got out.
Dude, he was on my ballot for president for the primary.
Really?
For the primaries in California.
Under what party?
Fuck, I don't remember, man. Independent.
Because in California, you can vote for whoever you want the nomination, but you don't have to vote party lines, right?
Your ballot is party only, but you can write in.
Okay, because there's certain states that you could be a registered Republican but still vote for a Democrat, and
now,
vice versa for the primaries.
Actually, yes, you're right. You're right. For the nominations, it's party only.
Right.
Yeah. Once it goes to the primary, it's open ballot. You're right.
Okay. Because in Maryland, you have to, if you're a Republican, you can only vote Republican in the initial phases here until the general election.
What a fucking rigged system. How does this is anyway, man, I'll end here. This is part of what I mean by literacy and IQ. How does the normal person sit back and be like, "Oh, dude, this is like perfectly normal. It's okay." Like, what the fuck?
The people who have power do not want to give it up.
Well, listen, it's like you and I both know one person that at least keeps asking me, how is Trump so popular? Because people believe the Earth is flat. And it's not a small amount of people. I don't think it's a major percentage. I don't think it's significant necessarily statistically.
What are the initials of the person that keeps asking you that? The initials.
I'm not mentioning it.
How do I know this person? He's like, we both know this person.
There's not very many people that we both have in common, man. It's a short fucking list. That we know in person. I'm not talking about Twitter friends, fucker. Anyway, don't worry about who it is. Listen to the message, goddammit. That's why Trump is popular. Because
never underestimate the people who watch reality television.
Yes. All right, so check this out. Here's my idea.
This is this generation's Howard Stern effect.
Yes.
So I'm going to vote for him just to see what he will say next.
Yes. So here's my proposition that I want us to think about for the next week, us and all our viewers.
Oh my gosh. Right.
I want us to think about how do we get technology and science to be as controversial and mainstream, meaning it has to be the lowest common denominator, as Real Housewives of insert your city. How do we get it that mind-numbingly dull?
I don't know, but I think you're going to vote for Trump because he did say he was going to solve your water crisis.
Oh, no, he said there wasn't one. What the fuck?
What? No, he said he was going to solve it. That's what I read.
I saw a report where he said there is no drought. Okay. I guess you can take that stance since this originally was a desert. I mean, it really is. All the water is artificial, so are the palm trees. But I don't know, man. I could pick my camera up and show you my backyard where I'm only allowed to water twice a week. It's browner than a porn star's asshole.
So are you telling me you follow those rules?
I have nothing to do with it, man. About the lawn, I really don't give a fuck either way. I don't control those systems, and I have no interest in taking control of them.
Yep.
But yes, we followed the letter of the city ordinance, and I think multiple neighbors of ours that don't have been reported. And it wasn't me.
Gotcha.
Whoever's watching that I live close to, it wasn't me, bro. Don't keep my car.
Again.
Oh God, man. All right, dude. I think.
All right, so episode 17 in the bag.
All right, man. Yeah, we'll do. We'll get back on schedule. Let's do Friday.
Yep.
And,
it won't be a problem for Friday this time.
Yep, we'll kick some ideas back and forth, and I'll put the schedule up on the website for everybody.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good weekend, everybody. Good holiday.
Later.
Bye.